Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. It's time for another news video. Now listen, there was little sprinkles and droplets and driplets of news spraying about the place yesterday. But I was like holding off on it because it wasn't for me enough to kind of compile into a video. And then I saw late last night in the late hours, murmurs, rumors, rumblings coming out of Real Madrid, Hala Madrid. Florentino Perez is a fan of Kai Havertz. Now, I was shocked, bamboozled, couldn't believe my eyes. I had to quickly clean my glasses, and then as I examined the evidence before me on twitter.com, there was a liking to Kai Havertz. It was true, and it seems to be that Real Madrid are looking for, obviously, another attacker. Now, we'll talk about how this may logistically make sense for Real Madrid. Obviously, Karim Benzema confirmed that he's not leaving Real Madrid. He's staying at Real Madrid until at least 2024. There were some rumours that he could go to Saudi Arabia on a big, massive contract. But he came out publicly and said the internet, it's not reality. It's just, rumours. It's just rubbish. So he's put that to the side, put that to bed. He is staying at Real Madrid. So they need him involved in some capacity. But as we saw against Manchester City this season, he's kind of tailed off a little bit. At least you can see that he was rusty. He was definitely rusty, and he's a player that may be just starting to decline. He is obviously aging, and Real Madrid have done very well to rejuvenate their midfield with the likes of Camavinga, with the likes of Bellingham about to be done, Tchouaméni, Valverde. Obviously, we've seen now in attack Vinicius, Rodrigo, but they need to continue to revolutionise that attack going forward to bring it into, a younger average age in terms of the striking position. Now, Benzema is going to stay, but they're going to need competition for him at least until 2024 because, of course, Mbappe is the main target, the big target that they went for previously. This is where Kai Havertz comes in. Now, Asensio has left a gap as well. Asensio has left a gap because he's going to PSG. And it seems like Perez is very impressed with what he's seen from Kai Havertz over the years of playing against us. Obviously, we played against them when we won the Champions League. We then played against them when we almost made the comeback under Tuchel and lost in the second leg, but we won. Weird encounter, but a great, thrilling encounter. And then obviously we played them this season. So we've played Real Madrid 6 times in the last 3 seasons in Champions League knockout. Perez has had a good opportunity to get his eyes and feast upon Kai Havertz, and he likes what he sees, and he'd like to make, it seems, an approach and an agreement to potentially take him. Now, I'm all here for this. I spoke about it in my kind of ruthless keep loan sell. It felt like at the time of the recording of that video, look, Felix is gone. He's going back to Atletico. Poch doesn't want him. In terms of watching the 10, he's the most pleasing on the eye. He's the one I enjoy watching the most, but he's not staying because he's not part of the manager's plans. Mason Mount, you could say from an output standpoint, is the most reliable. At least you've seen he's put up the GA. You can count on him to contribute to goals, to contribute to assists. In the final third, we've seen a very impressive statistical season from him in Tuchel's second season before that was the second player of the year, of course. So that would be my other option. I wouldn't mind keeping him, but obviously we'll talk about that later in the video of Manchester United. And Kai Havertz kind of sits at the bottom because we're not getting the output. We're getting XG underperformance. And on top of that as well, he's been here for a while. And like I said, he's not kicking on. And he can be great to watch at times, but he's too wishy-washy, and he kind of, picks the bigger games to really get himself up for. Obviously, we've seen him play the striker, but I don't believe, like I said, his characteristics or his attributes are so clear that he's going to become this incredible 10, even if he does play in his favourite position, especially in the Premier League. I think Kai Havertz is that kind of player that does suit the La Liga a little bit more, less physical, a little bit more, not coasting, but a little bit more football. It's a little bit more tailored to football. Real footballers who just want to just play the game in a nice manner, and they want to make those combinations and enjoy themselves. It's not a rough and ragged and physical league of constant combative energy where you've got to hold up and you've got to shrug people off and there's big tackles being. It's not that type of league. They do try to make it a little bit more pleasing on the eye. That's just what La Liga is. It's a lot more chill. For a player like Kai Havertz, it suits his mannerisms and it suits his approach a lot more. Let's be real. It's not the same. So, but the thing is as well, why they like him is because he's not just a complete, well, listen, he's not a 9 anyway, but they don't quantify or value him as just a 9 anyway. They value him as someone who could play off the front, players out wide on the right. He just gives them options in terms of, sometimes they might use him up front, sometimes they'll use him out wide, and they like the player. Perez likes the player. Real Madrid, they're looking for, not a stop, you could call it a stopgap, but they're looking for somebody to, pass on the baton, just to link between Benzema and Mbappe. Now, I don't know how much money they're willing to pay, but they've got money. So that's a good thing, because usually when we talk about trying to sell our players, we talk about European leagues and clubs out there not having the financial muscle to really give us the kind of fee that we're looking for, and we're probably going to have to take a big hit. We'll talk about Chalobah in a minute with Inter Milan. But Real Madrid, they got money. So we actually might be able to get a good amount of our money back on this purchase. We're not going to get it all back, but we might get a nice little 45, 50 million. And I would take that. I would take that, no problem. Kingdom come take this boy from this place, no problem. Do you know what I'm saying? I want peace, no problem. If you tell me now that we're going to get Kai Havertz to Real Madrid and we're going to, again, free up more money for this incredible sale. I must say, by the way that this window started, it's not even started. The window's not even open. And the amount of sales and, you know, realistic options we have in terms of getting rid of players, it's beautiful to see. And I just want to see deals wrapped up, but it's great. So Kai Havertz to Real Madrid would be wonderful. You get him out of the league, out of our immediate, not an eyesore, but, out of our immediate, peripheral vision. He's just not right there, staring us in the face. And now we can really kick on and say, right, we've got Nkunku. Who's going to play as depth behind him? Will it be Carney? Will it be Mount? If he goes to Manchester United, you've got funds. Potentially Poch has his own type of target. I keep talking about Enzo Lafitte. So I would love to see this get done. I really would. Will it get done? Listen, it's too early at the moment. There's no bid or anything, but it's just the news that and the reports that are coming out of Madrid at the moment, that are coming out of Spain, and we'll see how that goes. But brilliant to see that there could even be a chance for this. And there's been some conflicting reports as well that maybe Poch wouldn't mind this happening. He's not actually hell-bent on this move, of Kai Havertz actually staying. I said it on a Weekly Chelsea. There's been conflicting reports. Some say that Poch would keep Kai, wants to keep Kai. Some say he wouldn't mind if Kai leaves. I think it's just one of those things where he thinks he's a good player. If he keeps him, he can use him, get something out of him. If the money's right, he has no problem letting him go. And I think that's a fair stance to have. Also yesterday, Trevor Chalobah. Now, it kind of maybe got nipped in the bud by the Athletic, because it seems that Trevor wants to fight for his place at Chelsea next season under Pochettino. But there were rumours earlier on that Inter Milan were going to come in with an approach of 25 million for Trevor. It's not the first time, that Trevor's been linked with a move away to a club in the European continent there. You've seen Leipzig, you've seen, Italian clubs previously. So it's not the first time that there's been interest around Chalobah. Now, for me, I've said on my keep, loan, sell, I would keep Chalobah because I think he'd be a good utility player. He can play multitude of different positions. And I think right now people are grading him really harshly because of what they've seen recently. But I think under Poch, I think he's a squad depth player that I think Poch would utilise sparingly. But I think he'd get something from him in terms of he's just another option to use. And like I said, he's played a multitude of different positions. But I do believe as well, a player that is contracted until 2028. He's contracted until 2028, signed a 5-year deal. He's 23 years old. I think 25 million is a bit low. I'm not going to lie to you. I think 25 million is a bit low. I think you should minimum be looking for about 35 million. We don't want to be robbed here. Like, we're constantly always getting the low end of the deal, and we're paying out crazy money. The player that we have, my brother Quesadilla, on loan at Reading, under 20 Italian captain, cool. He's got a future, there's potential. But we paid 20 million for him, and he hadn't even made a senior appearance. And also, more importantly, not only would I, rather try and, if you're going to sell him, get more, because Inter Milan are apparently not the, most, they don't have the most finances in the world. So why are you spending that Lukaku money? Who told you could spend that Lukaku money? Who told you? If there's one club right now I don't want to sell any player to, is Inter Milan. We've got problems with this club in terms of the way that they've manipulated us into spending vast sums of money on certain individual. Now, you are meant to be trying to buy him back if you win that Champions League. Don't go squandering your savings. Don't go squandering your money on Trevor. Trevor is not one of those players that I need out the door immediately. No. Trevor's one of those players that if he stays, listen, Pochettino in defence, you're not going to rotate your centre-backs too often. It's going to be Levi Colwill, Badiashile, Fofana fighting it out for 2 starting spots. You got Silva, who hopefully is on the peripherals of the squad and plays now and then. Chalobah's a depth. He's a 4th choice centre-back. He's a good 4th choice centre-back to have, because you know that he can come in and do a job, and you know that he's on low wages and he doesn't kick up a fuss. But at the same time, he's there. and you need a fourth choice centre back. And how much is a fourth choice centre back going to cost you if you have to go into the market and get one? Probably more than 25 million for someone good. So I don't really see it as really worth our time, to be honest, especially when Silva is going to most likely be leaving in 2024, because it will be probably his last year, right, next season. So again, what's the point in getting rid of your fourth choice centre back when he's probably going to have to, you know, step in for Silva and move up the depth chart? So for me, it doesn't make any sense, but certainly not on those finances, but certainly not with that club. That club need to come and pay for Lukaku. That's what they need to do. Focus on that. And speaking of centre backs, if there's a preference of centre backs to leave, I'm picking Koulibaly. You know, if Serie A club need a centre back, please Inter Milan come in for Koulibaly, because he's on 300k a week, and we've got enough left side centre backs. He hasn't acclimatized pretty much to this country or this league. He has struggled personally. We've seen that in reports. So if he could go back to Italy, that stops these silly, you know, fear-mongering rumours that Levi Colwill doesn't see a first-team pathway into the squad. Listen, Badiashile is out for 4 months. There is a clear pathway. But if we need to clear it even more, Koulibaly is a left-side centre-back. Get him gone to Inter Milan if they would take up some interest and get him off of our wage bill. He's far more of a concern for the wage bill than Chalobah is. Koulibaly is the preference I would pick. So that's why I was a little bit pretty skeptical with the Chalobah situation. Wrong club, because they need to pay for a certain someone, but also probably wrong centre back as well. So that's an interesting one. And then of course Mason Mount. That's the last kind of bit of this video. Is Mason Mount. Apparently Fabrizio comes out and says that he hasn't agreed personal terms with Manchester United, so there's a little bit of confliction between Telegraph and Fabrizio. I've heard behind the scenes as well, you know, from people, that he hasn't agreed personal terms with Manchester United, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to Manchester United, to be honest, because there is conversations going on. You know, he is clearly wanted by Ten Hag. It's just whether or not they're also going to pay up the money in terms of the fee. We're looking for around about 70 million. They're probably not really trying to go higher than around 55, maybe 50. So there's a little bit of a gap to be bridged. 60 million, I'll settle on that, no problem. But I would prefer, like I said before, if he can be kept, if it could be sorted, it's not a big issue for me, because I think Pochettino wants him, and like I said, I've seen the player do very well for us before. So it'd be interesting to see how that situation kind of materializes. But at the moment on Mason Mount, it is a mess of a contract, that situation with Winstanley and all these guys handling the contract negotiations. Will he actually sign? I wouldn't expect it, but don't be surprised if Chelsea end up maybe pricing him out, and then you hear it in pre-season because Man United don't want to pay a certain amount, and then he's just kind of lingering around and maybe, you know, starts working on the Poch with 1 year to go, and then it kind of drags out through the summer. We don't know. Until Man United put in an offer that we actually like, this hasn't moved anywhere, so we'll see what happens. But, you know, whether personal terms are agreed or not, I don't think that's going to be a problem anyway. I think Man United will definitely pay him what he wants to be paid, probably 200k, maybe 250, who knows. I don't think Man United will not pay. They clearly have no problem paying wages, Man United. We've seen it many a time before. So that's what's going on at the moment, people. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. There's a lot happening, and I'm so happy to see it. Transfers and outgoings like nothing before, but we just need them to be confirmed. But obviously, hopefully going into next week, we're going to see some confirmations of players actually leaving and deals being done. But it's good to see that the groundwork and the negotiations have started. There is no sleep in June. There is no break. There is no relaxation for this board. They are on it immediately, trying to trim this squad down for Pochettino, as they must, as they should. So until next time, big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.